friends, this is Cheran with TextureJunkies. I'm so glad you're here. I am doing a show and tell peekaboo project here for the Collect and Create theme this month with the Makers Creative Collab hashtag. That's PM Artist Studio hosting, and every month a great group of artists get together and do sort of an art show, a collaboration online where we choose items from a list, and the list is pretty long. I always use a lot of those items, and so that's no big deal, honestly. But I do have something really special to share. Every year for my anniversary, I make my husband something special, and I hide the number somewhere on it of the correlating, however many years we've been together. And this year, I used this opportunity to create something for my husband, and our anniversary is today. So I need to wrap it up and give it to him along with another gift. I actually got some of this rusting powder, and I could not wait to use it because, as you know, I love to rust things. But I'm going to share my project, and I'm going to give you a little peek at last year's project just so you know the kind of things that I might make him, because it's always different. It really is. This is a super recycled project too. By the way, thank you for joining me, and if you haven't done it already, please give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to follow that hop. We're all going to make really short videos to share our project. And some of us will have extra videos to go with it to show you how we did it. You can join me this Saturday during the hop. I hope you get to take a break because we are actually going to be making oracle cards. We're going to start those and make some personalized oracle/prayer cards together. If you haven't checked out PM Artist Studio, please go to their channel. They're amazing. They're funny. They're so inspirational. They design and sell the most beautiful stencils, and I would just encourage you to go check that out. All right, so I'm going to set this aside, and first I'm going to give you a little peek of last year's project. So this is last year's project. It was an Altoid tin that I did a bunch of stuff to and gave him my heart. And there's that little 6 I tucked in there. And there's a photo of us in front of a waterfall. And I just had a lot of fun making it. So this is the kind of vibe, and this is definitely my style, this sort of grungy, old, rusty. That rusting powder was just, oh, I love it. I just love it. I usually use paint to create that sort of effect, so it's nice to get the rusting powder to go with that. So let me set that aside. So here is my project this time. Now what I made here was a love note holder for my husband. And I found this was really silvery tray, and I used that rusting powder on there. And then I put magnets on the back. I didn't even glue them on, but they'll go right on there. So what this is a tin can. And I cut the top and the bottom off. I squished it down, and the Collect and Create came from this collection of old screws that I keep in buckets in my tool room downstairs. And I love the old ones with paint on them that have just like the single flat Phillips. And what I did was create all these little hangers so he could hang his keys from this. And then I created some hearts that hang down. X's and O's I love. There's that 7. There's some dies. I covered this with tissue paper first, and then I rusted it. And the dies, they look like metal, and I absolutely rusted those. They really do look like rusty metal. And this is so he knows if he has a new bit of mail in here, and that's old copper wire. Use alcohol ink on the heart there. And I do want to talk about how we get to this point. I always create a lot of little bits to go with what I'm making because like an artist that does collage, you watch them put down layers and put down layers and cover those layers up and cover them up. And then you're like, why did you even do that? Because it doesn't show now. Honestly, it's how you get from point A to point B. It's how your creative brain works. And, you know, like, it's a good way to step along and end up where you're going. If you're a creator like me that doesn't absolutely plan things out, but needs to, you know, find the inspiration along the way and let the piece speak to them. So this is the bucket of things that I ended up creating where I wasn't sure if I was going to use them. There's some gear stencils from PM Artist Studio on there. There's some alcohol ink. Got some gold wax, because that almost hung from the bottom. Here's one that I made last time for the collaboration, and somebody asked how I would use it, and I actually almost used that on the bottom with a little something on the back to tell him I love him, but the book will do that, and I'll show you that in a moment. So that's the paper rolls that I inked and painted, and, you know, it was just like scraps, and rolled up and embossed with heat embossed, and then, you know, cut out shapes. And so you can just, those are really fun. You can hang from a string. So these are just all the little pieces that I used to create along the way, because I wasn't sure what I was going to put on the project. So, you know, whatever you got to do, then you'll end up, if you do this, you'll end up with all these fun pieces to work with. So whatever your creative process, this is something I recommend, and you end up with a pile of useful things in the end, you know. So I'm going to set that aside. So I hope that makes sense to you. Here is my little book, and it's for love notes. So this is like a mailbox, like I said, a place for him to hang his keys, and maybe I'll write him little notes, maybe a little poem. And what I used here was iffy gel plate pulls, and I just went over it with a stencil here and there. And they were, you know, ones that had a lot of white space that I wasn't really a fan of, and I, you know, didn't know if I was going to take them back to the gel plate and continue adding to them or whatever. So I ended up doing this instead. I think I used 4 pieces here, cut them up, and they're all, you know, a little bit different. Just added stencils at the end. And in the back, I actually wrote him a little note and something I cut out and put there. This right here, I hope you can't hear my dog. He is driving me insane today. He will not shut up. Everything's making him bark. This I put on a wire. It's an old rusty paper clip that was already rusty, and I put it on the wire so it completely flips away. I punched holes here and used a piece that I had, let me see if I can find it, piece of paper bag that I had, you know, played around with and did some experimenting on. Another one of those pieces from a project that got me from point A to point C. And then I used it to cover the top here. And this was one that I had used embossing or texture paste on. I don't remember how I got that grid pattern on it. I did it so long ago. But then I thought, oh, I'm going to die cut this, and it didn't go through all the way, so I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And it actually feels like patent leather, or I you know, I don't know. It's really thick though. And it made the coolest cover. So grungy is my style, but you don't have to do grungy here. I have a thought. If you wanted to make one of these and not recycle a tin can, you could make it more solid and use like a yogurt container and cut the bottom out of it and, you know, just staple it up. I actually melted an entire hot glue stick down in the bottom of this, so it was, you know, airtight if I wanted to put a plant in it or something eventually. But you could use paper. You could just use paper. Say cut it, staple the bottom, add some lace, add some fringe. You know, you can do this any way you choose and get the same result and do it in different styles, and it might be really fun. Like for a little, kind of reminds me of when we were in grade school and we made things to put Valentines in at our desk, and everybody would come along and drop their Valentine in, and we made all those different containers. Well, this is, you know, kind of a cute little Valentine holder, or maybe a place to hang by your desk and inspire you and fill with tags, or you could put paintbrushes in it, or, you know, either way. Wouldn't this be cute? Not rusty, maybe, if that's not your style, but to take some of these tin cans and maybe do 3 in a row and hang them on a wall and put your colored pencils in them, or your paintbrushes, or little bits that you collect for inspiration. I just think this is so versatile, and there's ways that you could make this in any style. You could add old doorknobs and hang something on it. You know, sky's the limit, but what a fun project this was. I hope you take a moment to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to click the box at the end of the video here. There will be another in the hop in order. If you follow along, click that box and check out all the other amazing artists and all the wonderful things that they do. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a magical day and you get to follow along the hop. Check out PM Artist Studio as well. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.